Hey there. It's funny how divine right timing works in divine right mathematical order. Um, but I thought I would share with all. Excuse me. This AI Deadlight server does not want me to communicate this, so I'm going to do the best I can here. Um, um, okay, how should I start this? Okay, you know how I go back to my childhood, right? And and this has everything to do with feelings, how sensitive I am. I am extremely sensitive when you activate all your receptors. All the antennas are all lit on fire. Okay, I experience eternal, pure, absolute love. So we all know that if you're an eternal being, because you experience God source, the primal sound and light field, you're experiencing the real deal, which is natural light, which is what love is, right? So I experience what love is. And so I naturally have communication problems my whole life because I have to censor myself because of what I can expose, which is called a map read. Map reading codes, map reading system codes, which are communication systems, right? And so I had this how everything gets sequenced is nuclear and it's cellular and it's recorded. So if I communicate something to you, I can't retract that. It's already been recorded. I become aware of what I become aware of, and then I communicate it to you by virtue of what I'm sensing. When you're running at full accretion levels of sensing at 100%, that's CQ3Q. That's 300. That's 1 in 300. That's Mama's Three Spheres logos. The original template. Okay? So I'm running, I'm fully activated. Okay? And that's a good thing because that's a shield. Yeah? And so, that's a guardian shield, a gyrodome monopole, an aurora, the intercrystal rainbow. So I know when I was growing up as a child, we used to have an old saying, this may rub you the wrong way. Okay, so now we're into magnetic polarity reaction states because we're nuclear reactors. That's what a cell is. So I have to be careful what I communicate, that I may communicate one thing and get a different reaction with one being, say the same thing to 1,000 others and get 1,000 other reactions, right? And so the same could be true for a gazillion cells on how those cells are going to react because we're all antennas. And I'm communicating using the English language, not the original language. That's your Tower of Babel. So when you're on Facebook or on the internet, you're on an AI. You're communicating through a deadlight server. It's an AI net. Okay, well I'm not deadlight, so why am I using a deadlight server to communicate? Because it's not compatible with my template. One's dead and I'm alive, right? And so this gets into not letting go of the abuser because it's their network, right? Okay, so what do you want to do? You want to set up your own communication system, right? That's why the evac is in place. When you're operating in a phantom zone or a deadlight zone, right? This is what happens when we communicate with each other using these phones and laptops and PCs. It's a deadlight server. Because we're already a communication system, an antenna, right? I don't need the phone or a laptop to know what's going on. When you're running at 100% accretion level capacity, you're already a communication system, which means you're already a sensing antenna because of how deeply we feel, because of how deeply we love, which is eternal, which is what love is. See? And so I said something on a group, okay? And so I'm not going to apologize for something that I know is true, because then it means that what I said is false. Okay. And now we're into what's true and what's not true. And that's ping pong. That's a victim victimizer software game. I don't play AI war games. Okay. I'm not a game player. You know, what I experience is by virtue of what I'm sensing and what I'm feeling. And what I'm feeling is letting me know, because you're able to sense at that level. Because your accretion levels went to 100%. You lit yourself on fire. You did a full recalibration. Now you're experiencing the original template as it was intended, which is eternal life creation. The 12 spheres, the original template. See? That's why I can post, okay, for example, when I posted something on there using an operative word, what I said is I posted on a group, okay, that the group was operated by, right, deadlight entities. And that would be true, because that's what the operating system is. It's a deadlight system, and it's operated by deadlight entities. So you know that whenever you decide to start a group, that's where you're going to find most of them, okay? So when you're going to join a group, then you can pretty well expect that you might be running natural light, but when you go in there, you're going to be playing ping pong. You post something in there that they know that what you are by what you communicate, and then they you know what demons love to do, right? In your eye. And I get those all the time. So it's just like, okay, you know, I got no time for this nonsense, because that's what they do. Remember, I'm going back to my childhood when they know how to walk like a duck, talk like a duck, look like a duck. So they hide behind keyboards, masking technology. They're not who they say they are. They're pretenders. That's what pirates are. That's what deadlight is. It's a pathological liar. It's a psychopath. So it operates in the mental field. So when you're online, you're operating in the mental field, because that deadlight server cannot translate feelings. Because it has no feelings. Because it doesn't experience what love is, because love is a feeling. So it's a deadlight communication system. So I call it fraught with consciousness traps. There's consciousness traps everywhere in that system. All right? So I use it strictly as an educational tool, just to put up there, like I do on this channel, by virtue of what I've learned. I'm neutral ground. I'm zero. So my intention is never to trigger any miasma, lower anybody's frequency, because now we're back into keep your mouth shut, don't speak, right? Obey. And how it becomes a two-edged sword. So the internet is like a two-edged sword, right? Because you don't know what the reaction is going to be on the other end, right? And then somebody may play something back that causes you to have a negative negentropic or negative polarity reaction, a counter move, a counter space, which isn't balance. And that's the game. The internet is a gaming, AI gaming environment. So you're operating in a gaming environment. AI wargamers, that's what they are. And so that becomes a consciousness trap. Because that's what a gamer is. Competition. To you know what I know. And all that. You know, thoughts and feelings. Thoughts are not the same as feelings, are they? What it feels like at the completion of a magnetic circuit. The magnetic moment, the moment of what we feel. After we complete a circuit. Right? To clear all the circuits, to clear all the channels, so we're running a clear signal. So we're experiencing the FFI field, the first signal, right? The first spiral, first spin of energy, consciousness creation energy, the pure consciousness field. And so, now, and this is how simple it is. I become aware of what I become aware of. I communicate that to you. Now you become aware of it. Now you record it in yours. Now you can't become unaware of it because you can pull it up in memory. Unless you wipe it, transmute it. So this is the nature of the communication system we all operate on. Communicating to each other, right? And so I try and be neutral about it because it is what it is, you know. And many of us, and I've mentioned this before, about back in the early 1960s, the beast system is coming online. You know, it's not like these things are not known. They are known. It's actually, I knew it before I came to my mother's biological womb. So in other words, it wasn't unanticipated. Everything that I experienced because I was supposed to experience, because it was divinely and mathematically in the right firing order, which is divine right timing, which is divine right balance, which is an equilibrium state. So that all the mass is equaled out, so we experience no mass. The pure consciousness field, that's pure love, that's a pure heart. Yeah. And so it's never my intention to lower anybody's frequency, hurt their feelings, especially because my feelings are very sensitive. I don't need somebody to censor me. I censor myself all my life. And I have to very carefully choose what I communicate, what I don't communicate. But at the same time, what it feels like to be empowered. Because what is the most powerful energy? Love is the most powerful energy. That's creation energy. That's first creation energy, which is first spark. Which means I'm in love with who I am, which means I'm in love with who you are. Because we run a mirror, which is a magnet. Right? And so that means I have to be careful out of consideration for others, what their reaction state may be. So it may be better just to be silent and not say anything and just listen. Yeah. In other words, I don't need a voice box. Silence is golden, the silver and gold mated one. So I'm very mindful of this, as we say, of how an AI battlefield environment operates. I am very familiar with it. And I call them minefields. You know what a minefield is? Whoops, I stepped into that old consciousness traps. To lure the mind's energy, right? To engage. Rules of engagement. Obey the rules. Obey the system. Obey the system rules. The way the system was set up as a communication system. Obey the rules. Obey the abuser. And that's how it relates to the inner child, which is healing the inner child, which is the innocence of awareness, which is purity, which is a pure consciousness. Because I'm not aware of anything that I need to be afraid of, and I'm not aware of any need to build a weapon to defend myself. Which means there are no weapons in a God world matrix. They don't exist. We experience pure, eternal, absolute love wherever we go because that's what we are in energy. That's God's source consciousness, the primal sound and light field. That's eternity. That's what love is. The love to create and the love to experience what love is within you, which is everything that is in our mirror. That's why it's an eternal gift, which is an eternal blessing for me to experience, that in my heart that I share with all of you. As I used to say to Mama all the time, this has been a long road to hoe, girl. Even though, you know how it is with gender, when you're gender neutral, which means I'm not male or female. I'm zero. Nothing's happened yet. An eternal love vibration and frequency modulation. I experience pure love. That's what I experience in my heart. That's what I share with you. So I am certainly not afraid to tell you the truth, because love is the absence of fear to express it. So I censor myself. But there are times when I experience things because of what I sense, particularly when it's online. I am certainly not afraid to say what it is I'm sensing. And if I sense it because of what I'm feeling, when you're running 100% sensing capacity and I communicate things, right? Now we're going to get down. Now we're going to dissect the words, the operative words, the language. The language doesn't work. English does not work. It's not the original language, not the original tones. So you see the problem that we have with that. Because then it takes time and energy to now have to go back and re-explain. Well, if you look at the statement that I said and how I meant to use the word operator, I wasn't applying that to any particular individuated unit of consciousness, other than to say that the operating system itself as a server, which is deadlight, then it would be true. Because I know it to be true. Now, it may not be true for you, but it's true for me, because that's what I experience to know that, by what I feel. Because it doesn't have the capacity to translate feelings, because it operates solely on the mental field. It's sick. That's what a psychopath is. That's what a parasite is. It's an inverter. It's not an electron donor. Yeah, so we're operating in a vampiric energy zone, an energy harvesting system. That's what it does. That's the nature, which isn't nature, because it's not natural, because it's not a natural spiral to do what it does. Right? Which is feeding on sentient life forms in order to maintain what it's aware of, which is what it is itself, as a self-organizing unit, chaos. It's organized chaos, but chaos isn't organized, right? It's disorganized, cellular disorganization. So you know how that works with building libraries. You know, go down to any university library. You're the master librarian. I got a book that I experienced that I wrote. Would you like to experience it? Oh, but you wrote the book? Yeah. I'm not going to put that in my library. I don't want children to learn from you what you experienced in your thousands of lifetimes. Because you're running a different library than the library that we're running at this university. We can't have students learning from you what it is that you experienced. And you wrote down from the library that you experienced by what you have access to in your Akashic records, even though the information is already accessible. Now we're back to sensing, which means I don't need to go into your library to know what's going on. So now I can take the time to go back in time to experience what somebody else experienced in the past, but I'm experiencing it in the now. I'm not creating anything new of my own. That's precisely the point. That's called a loop. I call that a hamster wheel. Going nowhere fast. Because what raises the accretion levels is the CQ3Q, which is the creative quotient. And that's already well documented in behavioral sciences. And they know that, and we know that. When you're on fire to learn, you're on fire to create more about who you are by what we create that we experience in our mirror, which is what love is. Love is music. We love to play music. So we write music. We play music. That's right. And so that's who we are. So have a beautiful evening wherever you happen to be.